Welcome. It's Monday. Yes, Debbie.
We're here.
Welcome to you
that
too.
time. Damn it.
An extra hello to you. It's Monday. That means it's time for MCU Mondays. This week, we're obviously going to be talking about Wakanda Forever. It just came out. Just so you know, there's going to be spoilers galore. We'll warn you again, but we're talking about the movie, so you're going to hear about it. I'm your host, Chris. As always, I am joined by my co-host, Debbie.
Hi, guys.
Debbie, was your theater crowded?
No, but it never is. I mean, there is more than what I'm used to. Because I live in a small town, so it's now. And I even went to I didn't even go to the 10 o'clock movie. I went to the 11 o'clock movie, and in the morning, and there was more people there, but it wasn't packed by any means. So I was happy because I don't like people. So
Reserved seating. Do you have reserved seating?
Oh no.
Oh, so it's first come, first serve. It's one of those. It's a cutthroat. If you want a good seat, you better be there about an hour before the movie starts.
Well, I mean, my seat was available, and I got there 10 minutes beforehand. So my seat that I personally like in the theater.
It's my spot.
It's my spot. They should have my name on it. No, it's not a really new or updated theater. I really wish it would get recliners, because then I could sit through a movie more comfortable.
Yeah. See, I have recliners in my theater, and I'm very glad that I did, because, again, I'm in the Maryland, Baltimore, Washington, D.C. area, and my theater was pretty darn packed. I bought my tickets Friday, and I bought them for Sunday, and I was limited to the second row in front of the screen because everything else was taken. Wow. And I'm talking about they had showings at 11, 11:30, 12, 12:30, 12:50, 1, 1:30. Like, it was all showing that, and pretty much most of them are like all already. And that's why I'm always like, when the new Marvel movie comes out, I'm talking to you guys, especially Debbie. I'm like, Debbie, did you get your tickets yet? And you're always like, I don't need to. And I'm like, it doesn't make sense to me, because if I don't do it like immediately, I'm going to get screwed into the second row. And I did. I sat there, and we had the reclining seats. But still, it's not my preferred. I like to be, there's usually 3 rows and then a break, and then like, handicap lane.
Space,
yeah, and then behind that the regular rows start again, or whatever you want to call them. Mm-hmm. And usually in that first row behind the handicap, there's like bars, and you can put your feet up on the bars, and that's my preferred spot.
That's a great spot. It doesn't matter much with recliners, but yeah,
as much. Yeah, well, now that the recliners are the thing, I don't mind as much, but especially back in the day when it was just like theater seating and stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, that was prime. That was the best.
Yeah, I only ran into that problem once, and it wasn't where I live now. It was another town. But me and my youngest son, went to go see one of the, I think it was one of the newer Jurassic Park movies. And we got there, and it was so packed. We ended up sitting in like the second row off to the side, so it was just like I'm contorting to see the screen. I had a migraine afterwards, because you're like this the whole time.
For me, it's like I'd rather not go than have to like sit way to the side. Even in any row, sitting all the way to the side, it's like no, let's just.
You got to cock your head, and you're just like, okay, my neck's gonna be sore. Now, I got you both beat, because
I just want to say right here, because I kind of skipped over it, but we're also joined by David down below. Yeah, David! What was your theater like, buddy?
My theater, okay, so
said you got us both beat. That's impressive.
Luke and I went Sunday evening. I did not pre-buy my tickets because we weren't sure what time we were going to be able to go. We finally decided we were able, after we finished all of our chores and errands and everything else, it was like, okay, we can go to the 5:45 show. And this was at 5:20. So we bought our tickets literally like 25 minutes before the show started. We had to sit in the front row. That was all that was left, was the front row. And so we're just looking at it. We're like this.
So
like,
rough. Yeah.
And I was like, I need my chair to lean back just a little bit more so I can. Then it's like IMAX. But no, that one was But we did find out some interesting information this weekend. We've got another theater that's in the mall. That's just a little crummy 4-screen theater, the mall here in Denton, where I live, and it now shows first run movies. And it had Wakanda Forever on 2 screens. It had Black Adam and Lyle Crocodile were the 4 movies that it was showing. And we were like, oh, so if we ever get caught in a situation where we have to sit on the front row at the reserve seating, maybe we can come to this little crummy theater where nobody's going to. We can go watch it there. We won't have recliners, but at least we'll have good seats.
Yeah. Getting good seats is, if the chairs recline, that's just a plus.
That's cherry. That's the frosting on the cake.
We got DJ Donnelly, who was here apparently at 9:00. Oh, we don't start till 9:30 if you're even lucky. So thank you for being early, DJ Donnelly.
He wanted to make sure he had a good seat.
He wanted the first. Exactly. He wanted the first comment. That's all it was.
Geek Gauntlet Podcast is also in the house. So the movie was so good. Well, we're gonna talk about it in just a minute. Watched it at home, found a site online. Way to support.
Oh man.
That's impressive. That's really fast for it to already be online. I'll be watching it again.
Or was it like camera crappy?
I was gonna say we used to get copies of that overseas of movies that like first run movies, and it was like a week later they're out. And you bring them on DVD and you pop the DVD in, and it was like somebody was there with his phone just recording it, and people were laughing at things and walking across, and it's like, dude, yeah.
It's like I see everybody talking about Black Panther. I don't know what's going on because my guy that I buy DVDs from on the side of the street, he sold me the director's commentary last week. I don't know what's going on. And the director, of course, the commentary is just him talking into the phone while he's recording it in the theater. Watch it on my big screen. Well, that's why you get the big screen, but at the same time,
I'm jelly.
I go for the experience. I want the experience. I want to smell the popcorn and be in the theater with the people when everybody's cheering. And
you know what? We're going to get into it, and I know what you're talking about because I had a guy in my theater that was making the most hilarious comments, and I was like, this guy should be mandatory for every single showing because this is great. You're going to miss out on the experience if he's not here. But there's that experience, but not everyone has that. Not everyone is so lucky. I've seen a lot of people talking about like, all right, we're just getting to go back to the theaters. Why are you bringing babies? Or like, why are you talking throughout the whole movie? And that's why I really appreciated this guy. He had like one-liners, maybe like one word that he would say at a break in the action, and it was just perfect. We're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about our thoughts on the movie after we get the theme song going here.
You should just cue the music.
Love it.
It's good stuff. So Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. The biggest, I guess, thing about this movie is the fact that Chadwick Boseman passed away from cancer without being able to be in it. And I think that's a huge, obviously you can't ignore it. They made it part of the movie literally because of that, because what a phenomenal actor. They had scenes from him, flashbacks of things that he did, and I was just watching that and like, man, and it breaks you a little bit because it's like, imagine, because this isn't like Iron Man's death where it's okay, he did everything, Robert Downey did everything basically that he wanted to do, you know, and this is the arc, the character's done and he's leaving. This is in real life, the actor died, and now all of the things that he could have been a part of are kind of left unfulfilled. It hits deeper than just, I think, a regular movie death. It should, and I don't know. But what did you guys feel about that? I mean, that's exactly how the movie started, with
him dying.
Yeah.
I honestly, I thought it was great. I thought it was amazing the way that they did it. You know, they had said we're not going to use any kind of CGI footage or fake Chadwick. We're not going to put him in it. And the movie just kicks off into high gear with, oh my God, he's dying. And Suri's trying to find the cure, or the heart-shaped herb, and the heart-shaped herb, not herb, the heart-shaped herb.
Because if you remember, and they remind you during the film, but Killmonger had come and he had burned up all of that
right
when he was around in the first movie, so they didn't have more of that. Apparently that could have helped him. She didn't have enough time. Runs out of time.
She runs out of time. She basically runs out of time. The little AI says, what's his heart rate? And it's
even the thing that she prints out, the thing that she's going to take to him, the thing that she prints out in there,
28%.
Yeah, it was like 20. It was super low. Much later in the movie. I'm going to tell you again, people, spoilers. We're talking about the movie, so spoilers.
I thought they should have done the same thing with Carrie Fisher in The Last Jedi. Or not The Last Jedi, Rise of Skywalker. I think I honestly would that she, she died, and so to have some kind of like right at the first, she's in a battle or something, and the ship explodes or something like that, and oh my God, Princess Leia was on that ship. So now we've got to spend the rest of the movie mourning her, but still carrying on the fight, if you will.
Yeah. So you're saying like they handled it better in this?
I think they did. Yeah. I think they did.
I agree. I would agree. Yeah. So it goes right from that right into the funeral, which, again, this movie I think has some really great, like the whole funeral scene, the procession and everything, the costumes, the way that they shoot it, the way I think that it was a fitting tribute to him. They have like at one point she looks up and sees like there's a graffiti of him on the wall, and that's really all that you see of him during that part, because they have him during the Marvel opening thing,
right?
But during this whole thing he's not really there, and they just have the thing on the casket, and so there's a lot of it there, and then it kind of skips to a year ahead. I think throughout the whole movie, though, it's impossible not to be feeling the loss of Chadwick Boseman. That was one of the big things for me, is like watching the whole movie. I'm just like, what would this have been if like he was here to continue on the character? Like, what would have happened? Because in this, we end up getting a new Black Panther and kind of like a new Iron Man, and it's like I was just feeling like,
we lost both of them, and now they're both replaced in the same movie,
and it's rough, and there's not really anything you can do about it. That's why when I'm like thinking about this movie, it's like this is not anything against the movie. It's something that's just impossible to get around. There's no way to get around this type of thing, and so for what they were dealing with that in mind, I think they did a pretty good job. Debbie, what were you thinking about the beginning of the movie and the?
Well, I mean, just from the get-go, when they did the Marvel intro, and there was absolutely no music. I mean, like I said before, there weren't that many people in my theater because there never is. But I mean, they were still, they were talking and yapping and whatnot. But I mean, you could hear a pin drop when that Marvel intro came on, and it was just all Chadwick, no music. I mean, of course, I started crying right away. So, you know me, I get emotional. Typical. But yeah, the funeral, beautifully shot, great costumes.
I was going to say, I was watching the costumes. If you look at those costumes, I did not see a single identical costume. Everybody was wearing, every person at that funeral, up and down the streets and everything, dressed in the white, was all wearing something different, something that made them stand out. And that was, I was looking at it going, that's a massive undertaking right there.
That goes into part of the plot, actually, when the Queen is talking to Shuri about burning the funeral clothes, and I was like, these are garments specifically for this, literally, that you're going to then burn. So yeah, it makes sense that they're all different, because these are probably made specifically for that particular funeral. Yeah, made for that purpose and then burned. And I really like that. I've been recently getting into some Joseph Campbell hero's journey stuff, and the way that he comes up with the hero's journey and everything about that is by studying mythologies and cultures and religions from all around the world, because that's where human storytelling comes from. And so to see some of the stuff they did in this movie, it was very, I think, fitting tribute, again, to Chadwick Boseman, to the Black Panther. It's that part of it, I thought they handled about as good as possible. There's other parts of the film I wasn't as hugely entertained about. I thought it went a little long.
Yes, I think
it could have been trimmed a bit.
Yeah, there's some laggy moments, there was just it lagged, and then I don't know. It could have been trimmed.
Luke did say that, and I really agree with him. It did what Ragnarok did, to where there was a lot of funny moments in it. There was a lot of funny things in it, but it wasn't like Love and Thunder, to where it was just overbearing. There was, it was a good serious movie with some funny bits to it, to where it's like you don't have to be serious all the time. Like the one scene where he says, you can't go down there, the ocean will crush your bones and the pressure will destroy you. Or we got a suit over there if you want to use that. That's fine.
Yeah, but the thing about that was, I'm so glad you used that example. It's like, oh, or we have a suit. And it's like, oh yeah, from those people that you murdered? Yeah, that's the other side of that joke. It's like, yeah, oh, we got a suit over there. Oh, did you make that suit? Oh, no. That's...
No, we murdered somebody.
Yeah, we murdered some people and took it.
We took out a whole I don't know what it was. It wasn't an aircraft carrier, but...
No.
A big old ship full of people. Oh, well, they would have taken out the one at the end, too. But
it was a scientific
team.
Get there.
So Derby 501st at Best Project of Phase 4 as a movie, besides No Way Home. It wraps Phase 4 well for what it is. Coogler did very well with this film. Yeah, with the situation, could have done much better with that situation. Tribute film to Chadwick and Black Panther as a character, and that's the thing is, the show must go on. It must continue things, one way or another. They were going to have to, and I think this solution, what they did with this film, is better than just trying to like recast the character and try to use someone else to fill his shoes. That I feel like would have been much worse. Despite wanting to see that character continue, I think trying to recast at this point would have been very difficult. Terrible.
I thought they did a really good job of giving everybody closure because of the suddenness of his death. In the movie, it's basically kind of the same thing. I mean, he dies suddenly, and we're going through the whole emotions that they are. Everybody is shocked, and and everybody handles that kind of situation differently. And I think they did a really good job at giving everybody, and I'm sure the cast, closure, because his wife was also involved with this movie. So I think it did a really good job at giving closure to not only Chadwick, but also to the character T'Challa.
And it also introduces Namor.
Namor.
Kukulkan. Oh man. Yeah, so we get to see a little bit more of the Wakanda elders, but they kind of just backplay them. It's mostly like the queen is in charge now. The king is gone. The queen's in charge. And she takes a pretty firm stance.
I love Angela Bassett.
They made those people at like the United Nations or whatever that like look incredibly foolish, and I was like,
she was almost she was at that line to where you could look at her and say she's the bad guy. She's the one that's, I mean, just some of the things that she did, I'm like, why are you doing this? It doesn't make any sense.
Doing what?
Yeah, I mean the whole thing with, and I get, okay, we're not.
Well, she had to put on a strong front because but that's why she was
the Black Panther was
such
yeah.
And she's like, you might think we're weak, but we're not. And they were attacking her. It's not like they went on the offensive.
Right.
And she said, if you do this again, consider my leniency here as part of an olive branch, because other people would take something like that as an excuse to go to war. Like, that's exactly the point she's trying to make.
She's trying to not only protect the vibranium, but also her country. I mean, yeah, they were going to use steel and use the vibranium for not good purposes. I mean, they were going to use them, for
weaponization.
Yeah. I mean, not anything good. So, to use it against other countries. And Julia Louis-Dreyfus. What's her name?
Lady Hydra.
That's her main purpose. I mean,
Director
she's like, yeah, we want that.
I was going to say, she even said that. She said, what would you do if America had all the was sitting on a mountain of vibranium? She says, like,
basically like, I have.
That's like my wet dream right there. What are you talking about?
Yeah, she almost had an orgasm. She was just like, woo!
Yeah. What would you do if America had all the vibranium in the world?
You just made me all tingly.
She's great. I'm glad to see her as part of this. It's going to be fun to see her being like the opposite of a Director Fury, like the same role, but for like a different group.
I mean, I was shocked when her and Ross had been married.
Yeah,
like, holy.
Here's a
twist for you.
Just throw it in there.
The Tolkien white guy.
It was great, actually, in the first one. And it was just him.
It was just him and Claw.
And they were the Tolkien white guys. Yeah, it's good stuff. But it was interesting in that as soon as they, kind of made that not threat, but just like, hey, good luck finding other vibranium. They're immediately like finding vibranium. I was like, well, that was lucky as hell. Good thing we don't have to go fight them anymore. Now we can just mine it from under the ocean. Do you guys hear that? And so The mer people with their siren song start luring people off the ship on that.
Oh, that was weird. That was just.
Well, that's
I mean, they would just stop and they just walk off.
Mermaid myth is that
Yeah.
the siren song, and so they just walk right off. And it's like, why are you doing that? And it's like, because they're hypnotized. It's not because there was someone in the theater who was just like, why do they keep walking off the edge? And I'm like,
Read your mythology, people.
and this was after the lady was like, it's a sonic attack. Put in earplugs. And they're like, why do they keep walking off the edge? I'm like, if you can't understand anything else, it's a sonic attack. And it was an adult because there were children there too, and I don't know if they necessarily got what was going on.
No, I bet the children got it right. I bet the kids
laughed.
knew.
Yeah, they were just like, oh, it's a
Dad, shush! You're embarrassing us.
It's a superpower, exactly. And so people are just walking off the edge into oblivion. I did like when the captain or the one guy he had a gun and he shot it to keep that one guy from jumping off the edge, and then that guy got like impaled a second later. I really liked that because it was like, hey, that showed ingenuity. It showed this is a smart character that knows, and he's looking out for his other character, and then none of it mattered. Yeah, it's like, you're screwed. It doesn't matter how smart you are. This situation is not going to end in your favor.
Yeah. You're outmatched at that point.
So what did you think, I guess, of the blue people? As the underwater Aztecian. What did you think?
They were,
as in when they showed up, when they did stuff. We got to see more of them later on. This was kind of like the shadow appearance where, what are those things? We're not quite sure. Was one of them blue? Ooh. Later, when they're picking up Ironheart or Riri, we get to see a little bit more of them on that bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the start of that kind of subplot of the two warriors fighting.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was I was more interested in that. I kind of wished it had...
The choreography in all of the fight scenes, really throughout the entire movie, was, second to none. It was just amazing.
And it's great because these are warriors that are used to being able to use vibranium to their advantage
on both sides.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's like, so the Wakandans, they're used to being the only ones with and so now they have to fight people that also have vibranium, and so it makes that
a little more fair fight there.
And also, I don't know if they ever explained this, but she full on gutted a bunch of those people on the bridge, and then they kind of like zombie got up later, and
they never really did explain that.
Did they ever explain that? Because I was like, did I miss it, or like, are they? Maybe Geek Gauntlet. What do you know? Did you see it? Because she definitely gutted them, and then later they just got up, and I was like, well, wait, why are you leaving? All just attack.
Well,
her.
I kind of wonder.
That's a contest of honor.
She even said, I killed 2 or 3 of them, and they just got up like nothing happened.
Could it be possible that they all take the flower?
Well, I think all of them, the reason they're able to breathe underwater is because they're descendants of that.
But I mean, the ability to not really.
Do they all have the superhuman ability and the ability to regenerate themselves?
That's one of the things I feel like is unclear. And that's why at the end, the only reason they win, it's kind of like taking down the droid mothership. You know,
yeah, they caught the captain.
Yeah, that's the only reason. And then you learn more later. So we'll talk about the end, and we'll talk about exactly like what the victory means and what it looks like they're setting up. But there's a little bit more stuff to go into here. What did you think of Ironheart? Oh, Debbie, what'd you think? I saw that. Looked like you had a stank face.
That's what I normally look like.
Debbie has RBF.
Yeah. I've been told that, but hey, it comes in handy at times. It keeps people away.
I said, what do you think about Ironheart? And I saw you wince, so I want to hear it.
Yeah, Riri, I don't know. I don't like her suit. I don't,
Because she looks like Bumblebee from the new Transformers.
I don't know. I don't.
She looks like
don't
Samus
like it.
Aran.
And I assume that's what she looks like in the comics, but yeah, I didn't care for the suit. But that's
If those comics have been around for what? Not that long.
Mm-mm.
I don't know.
I wasn't impressed with the character. I have no problem with. I think it's another actress portrayal here. I didn't care for the actress that portrayed Ironheart. I thought she put too much into it, and when I say put too much into it, it was like overdone. It was overacted and overdone, and I didn't care for it. I mean, not Carol Danvers level, but
Sure. And either, one way or another, it's a hell of a situation to try and be in.
you got some big
For
shoes to
all
fill.
of these actors. Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
To try and replace Iron Man, to try and replace Black Panther, no one's going to be satisfied. You remember how mad people got when they thought Tom Cruise was going to play it, even as like a variant?
He's going to be on screen for like 2 minutes as a variant.
There's no way to come out of this smelling of roses.
We were ready to burn cities down.
Yeah, it was going to be rough no matter what. I think that's kind of like why it was kind of smart to put it into this film. At least, get all of it in now, and then we'll be able to move forward.
But something good that came out of this too was, okay, so we know we've got an Ironheart series coming up, Disney Plus. So they've got the origin basically out of the way. They can just jump into the story. It's not like we've got to spend the first 3 episodes.
And as we know,
how does she become Ironheart?
She doesn't get to keep the suit that she built there. So
she's
in Wakanda,
she's
she's going to have to rebuild her suit or build a new suit.
That was my question. Why does she have to keep the suit there? Because it's made out of
It's probably because it was made out of vibranium. Yeah,
Okay.
That would be my guess as well. They're pretty strict about that. That's the whole movie.
But I'm hoping that they round out her character a lot more in the series. I'm looking forward to the series now, just to see what they do with her. But as of right now, I'm unimpressed.
Yeah, and
That's just me.
It's like, I like Iron Man, and if we're gonna do this, let's see what's going on with Armor Wars and Justin Hammer. Get him back into the mix. Let's do it right.
Yeah.
So then we had basically there's when Shuri goes underwater to see the underwater city, which is basically just a CGI fest of
look what we can do.
Look, get ready for the Little Mermaid. We can do stuff underwater.
Aquaman 2's coming out.
Yeah, and that's basically it. I thought a lot of it was so dark, and I get it. It's very deep underwater. It's dark, but they have like a sun thing, and I'm like, and then have more bioluminescent stuff. Like that's what I was like in cartoons. Is they have like they use the natural flora and fauna and different stuff to have the lights down there, so it's not so dark. But in this, I felt like it was still, even when they had the lights, it still seemed so generally dark.
Yeah, those scenes for me were kind of muddy, dark, muddy.
They were hazy. Yeah,
I think they could have done a little bit better. I mean, I agree with what you said.
And it's like, I don't need to see like what it's really like to be underwater, because there's not really an underwater city with an underwater sun. So why don't you make it unrealistic, and then I can enjoy that and see it. If you're gonna spend this much money, it's all CGI anyway. It's like, well, if it's darker, we don't have to actually show as many things. I don't know. I just felt like that I would have liked to see more.
Superheroes. Batman's just a guy in a suit with no superpowers. Well, I mean,
It's true.
But he's rich.
I'm
Very,
rich.
very
Hey,
rich.
hey! You know what? If you're gonna say that, Tony Stark is just a guy in a suit with no superpowers.
thing is, like, I think we all know Batman is
Batman
better
and Tony Stark are
range.
the same character.
They're extremely similar. I don't know about the same. So, Wakanda Forever. He shows up, Namor. He basically has no problem getting into Wakanda.
Yeah.
They don't cover the waterways. I was reminded of that scene from Aliens. They're 5 meters, man. 5 meters. That's in the room. You're reading it wrong. No, man, they're here. They got something. Something we missed. Something we overlooked. Going in through the vents.
And then, even the way to open the barrier, I was like, I get that you're trying to do the cultural. They're like, oh, you have to hit the thing, the water thing. And I was like, that's dumb. Have a switch. And that's not how it worked in Endgame or in Infinity War. They were
No,
just
they
like,
just flew
take
in.
down this part of the shield. And she was like, okay. And then that part of the shield, it wasn't like a couple of guys were like, that just seems like a terrible way to operate that. And they get invaded pretty easily. Water bombs. I liked when Namor. I did like a lot of the way that he like jumped around and did stuff. I thought that was pretty cool looking. I like the way that they had like his flight ability work. I like a lot of
like
that.
the dynamics of it, yeah.
But then he goes and he stabs at the queen, and she's behind like glass. And it doesn't break the glass, and she just stands there. And I was like, wow, that's
She's putting on a tough front.
poor. Yeah, but like what kind of glass? Is that vibranium glass? Like what?
Sure, why not?
And then
Everything
later,
else is.
like a water bomb hits it, and it floods the whole place enough to kill her. And I'm like, why were you still standing right behind the glass? Like at no point did you want to leave. Like I said, I feel like you could have punched it again, and it would have been. You're asking for something to go wrong. Okay,
That's
And
like
then, of course
that's like-
something does go wrong. She dies. Okay, so putting on a tough front, was it worth it? Was it? Oh, what do you
Well,
think? You're so
I
tough.
don't,
Well,
maybe
I'm
she
dead
was under
now.
the
How tough
assumption
are
that
you?
nothing could break through that.
The glass.
The
It
vibranium.
almost was on the first shot. If I saw that happen on the first shot, I'd be like, yeah, I'm
I probably better go.
I am out of here. One more shot and this thing's done. If this is glass,
It's like those people that sit there and bang on the glass at the gorilla enclosure.
maybe
Like,
it's
boom, boom. One of these-
transparent steel. But even if it is, those are some significant cracks from one blow. I don't care what material this is. You see that, you got to make an educated decision.
You got to look at it and say, "Oh, it is breakable. I better get out of here."
This guy's.
I don't think it would have mattered because Riri started running and didn't help her any. So
He throws one of the water bombs at it, and the first time I saw that, I was like, "This would be so killer in a water balloon fight." Just nail somebody with it. They're like, ah. But it's like, again, if that was enough to break the glass, one of those things, like it should have
Maybe. Well, now, okay. So let's look at this from a physics standpoint. The glass already has a crack in it, which we just went over. He just cracked the glass. Then you deal with the water pressure pushing on an already weakened structure of the glass. It will break.
But there's no.
There, I solved it for you. I
There's
did it.
no anything behind it. It doesn't matter. It's just ridiculous. Either way, get out.
it's a movie, Chris.
Get out of there. Get out of there. Well, then make smart decisions. supposed to be the leader of the country. Brr, brr, brr. The strongest brr in the world. Brr, 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 brr. Except I'm pretty sure Namor's country is way stronger.
I think they are too, because they had them beat back.
They won at the end. The only
yeah,
reason they
really
was because Namor was like, "All right, stop." But they're completely covering the top of the ship. There are still tons more of them coming up the sides.
And the
We have no
Wakandans are in
idea
like
how
one
many of
little
them there
corner.
even are. Yeah, because he's like, "I'm going to conquer the world." If you're confident that you can do that at any point, you must have some reason behind that, you know.
He's sitting in Australia with a butt ton of armies just piling up, and then he's gonna just walk over everything.
Yeah, we're in the
little risk reference there.
And they have the breathers, so they can come on land, no problem. We want to take over the surface. Why? I don't know. Did they say? It's like, oh, so you can't kill us. It's like, nobody can even get to you. You literally made that point very clear. No one can get down there. Now, if his reason was you're screwing up the oceans, I could get behind that. But he's just like, we gotta take them out before they take us out.
That was usually Aquaman's argument when he would duke it out with the Justice League, was you guys are screwing up the oceans.
And when people are like, Batman's the richest one in the Justice League, it's like everything that's ever sunk in the sea, he's got access to. He's got money. Oh, man. So did she also, when they were fighting, I thought she ripped one of his pigeon wings off.
I don't think she ripped the. I don't think she ripped
feathers?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think she just pulled feathers.
Because when I remember I was sitting there and she's holding the, and I was like, oh shoot!
I thought she kind of sliced. Didn't she slice it off?
I don't
She's
think
holding
so,
it in her
because
hand. I saw the feather sticking out. I was like, did she just rip his little wing foot off?
Okay, so directly after that, when he went after her, his flight wasn't as. I mean, it was troubled. You know, you could tell something had happened, and but later on, it was fine. And like I don't know if the feathers had grown back.
Ever flew again, for instance. But yeah, I gotta feel like it wasn't.
Or maybe I just saw that maybe there was a scene where you could see his feet, and it's like, okay, both wings are there. So,
and I wouldn't expect him to be permanently damaged. Also, especially since he goes, "I'm a mutant."
Yes.
Interesting word choice, guy that speaks broken English.
One more step toward the X-Men.
One more laborious step. When will we see them? I don't know. At the very least, we got Deadpool 3 coming up, so we've had bits and pieces. Obviously, we had Professor X.
Okay, I'm gonna call it. When we finally do see the X-Men, they'll be fighting Mephisto. How about that?
Is that what you
think? Mephisto confirmed with the X-Men.
Mephisto confirmed.
Yeah, there's rumors that they've casted him, but I don't like the person they rumored to have casted. I don't like
for what? For Wolverine?
No, for Mephisto.
Oh.
All this time he finally shows up. I
don't like.
You think the studio would throw us a bone? They can't just dust off one of the famous X-Men. How about that Potts with the giant pigeon wings? What do those do anyway, huh? Carry him 3 feet off the ground to snatch up the nearest muffin crumb? No.
I just don't like the guy. I don't like him personally, and I don't like him as an actor, so I would be very disappointed if he was actually cast as Mephisto.
Maybe he'll surprise you.
No.
No. All right, never mind.
I don't like Sasha.
Oh, there's Okay, well, we'll see. There's nothing to do about that except wait until it actually comes out.
I will say this for Namor, and Luke and I both agreed on this. Whoever cast him was like spot on. He played Namor the way I wanted him to be played. He was perfect in the role. I thought it was great.
Yeah, I liked, and I'm not someone who knew necessarily about Namor before this. Like, I knew generally about him, but I never read comics, never did. I liked the way that they brought him into the story. You know, the fact that he is over 500 years old. The fact that he's been alive that whole time guiding this people, that he's a god to them. The mutant thing on top of that, even if they tie that in somehow, I liked all of that. And basically the way that he talked to people and held himself and like represented, you know, that was all very well done. I agree. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was all awesome. I did think he almost got beat. I guess not easily. I guess they did separate him and go after his weaknesses specifically, but I still think even after they beat him, it's pretty obvious that if he had wanted to, he could just start back off the war and wipe them out, you know? And so, big spoilers, you know, continuing on. But at the end, he basically says, well, now I've got a relationship with Shuri. Now I've got a relationship with Wakanda.
He says
it's inevitable that the rest of the world will attack them. At some point, someone will attack them. And who will they reach out to? Me. And so it's not like he suddenly changed his ways and is like, oh, you know what? I'll just be a Avenger. Whoop-de-doo. You know, he's still got some like motives going on.
He says there's going to be a time when they're attacked, and when it does, then I'll have my chance to.
Lenny says like we'll
take over the world.
No, he says like we'll unite with them and then we'll be unstoppable, which was his plan all along. That's what he wanted. He always wanted to team up with Wakanda, basically this whole time. At least in the movie, it seems like that. He says, I'll take you out if you don't team up with me. But what he really wanted to do was team up with them and take over the world. And so now he still has that chance. He says, when someone attacks them, they'll reach out to us, we'll unite, we'll take everybody else out. Because Wakanda really is his only...
It's the only threat, really. Yeah.
Because the rest of again, they can't get down to where they are. I don't know why they're so freaked out.
They have a pretty good defense.
And he gives Shuri
his mom's bracelet,
which was made from
weird.
The plant. Well, I was like, as soon as he did that, I'm just sitting there going, okay, well, that's how she recreates the heart-shaped herb. Like,
yeah.
And then the longer it took for them to actually get that done, I was just like, just do it! Like, wait, it's so obvious.
You know it's gonna happen.
So
come on,
obvious. And then it's
she was dealing with other things. And
they needed to do a montage so what's her name could build her suit.
Talking about a montage.
Yeah.
Montage.
Yeah, a whole lot, making it look like a whole lot of time has passed when not really any has.
It's like we only had a week. There was a time limit already placed on this, and apparently they finish it.
Oh, they only had a week, but they had time.
They leave to attack, so they left before the week.
Well, they left before the week was up. They had time to organize a funeral for the queen, and they had time for a montage to figure out the heart-shaped herb. Build a Panther suit.
Ridiculous.
Get the Jabari to move everybody up into the mountains and away from the city. There was so much happening, and I'm like, you had a week. There is no way on earth. I mean, there is absolutely no way.
And if
I don't care how superpowered you are. There's no
Yeah.
way.
Well, it's like, we're going to come wipe you out. It's like, well, we've moved up into the mountains. Oh, well, I guess we'll just leave then. Like,
What's that gonna do?
what was the... I don't think they care, because like they have the masks. They can breathe them. They can... And apparently they're unkillable. Again, that's something that was never really answered, but they keep inflicting mortal wounds. And the Aztec people never seem to lose anything. I don't know.
And I have a question. It's not anything major, but I was curious when it happened. So T'Challa, in his casket, they beam him up to a ship. Where the hell did he go? Because the mother, they just buried her. So
Did they show her being buried?
well, I mean, they showed them carrying.
That was
her
the
to
same
forest.
place where they went for him too. So they might have had more for her, but they just didn't.
Well,
show it.
what do they do? They just send him off.
They might have a mausoleum, a vibranium.
And
But I
that
wouldn't-
symbolizes them rising up to be with the ancestors.
Yeah, which is kind of weird, because if you understand that they're living on another plane, you don't necessarily need to keep a mausoleum. But it's always fun. Mausoleums are fun. It's good to have around. Werewolf by Night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that came in
Mausoleum.
handy in Werewolf by Night.
Exactly. Vibranium mausoleum. I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. It's good stuff. So yeah, they win Wakanda. I still feel like they kind of got let win, and there's going to be some sort of Riri Williams though getting introduced. That's just another young Avenger person. That's what we just had. America Chavez. Now we got Riri Williams.
Kate
We
Bishop.
got Kate Bishop.
Wanda's kids.
Yeah, Wanda's kids.
Freaking Scar just got introduced in
Mhm.
at the end of She-Hulk.
I'm trying to black that from my memory. Stop
Something
that.
happened. Uh,
That was one of the best memes, though, was when somebody put it out there, and it was the scene from Age
Barber
of Ultron.
from
Oh no, it was the scene from Age of
Oh.
Ultron where he says, "Look, I can't have kids. It's just not possible."
Oh,
And she
yeah.
says, "Neither can I." Hey, this is my son Scar. Guess what I did?
This is my son Scar. I can't have kids. Well, I didn't know that alien chicks existed that could handle
Hulk
all of this.
genetic material.
Hulkamania.
Oh.
What did you guys think about when Shuri went to the ancestral plane?
Oh, Killmonger.
Killmonger.
That was
Mm.
great.
I liked that. It was very unexpected, because I was definitely expecting her to talk to her mother, and they had a very short bit of that later
Mhm.
during
Yeah.
the fight. But I was definitely expecting her to talk to her, or maybe even have some sort of like, who knows what kind of footage, maybe even of her grandfather, of somebody else. But I was at very least expecting her mother. I was not expecting Killmonger at all.
Yeah, that
And-
was a nice surprise.
And to have him up there saying, "Hey, look, this is why I did what I did, and you're doing it for the exact same reasons." So, and she kept trying to justify herself to him.
It was very
And-
Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, she was pushing again, and she even did it at the beginning of the movie. She was pushing against her culture.
Well, she's
Her
always
mom-
been like that.
yeah.
in a
she's
way.
been
She fights
even
against the tradition, and that's why I liked that, because kind of that, and that was another thing that I wanted to mention about this film, is that they have so much of the tradition and the culture of like Wakanda and stuff, and that's what she kind of rebels against. She even says it right to her mom's face when they're sitting by the fire. She's like, no, that wasn't him. That's just your mind creating the feelings that you want to feel to comfort you. And that's why when Killmonger was talking to her and was like, you didn't even believe this place existed.
Yeah.
Oh,
You
it was
this
it was Nacho Libre. I don't believe in God. I only believe in science. If you haven't seen Nacho
why
Libre,
are those two things?
go see Nacho Libre. She is a skeletal.
What'd you think of the after the credit scene or the mid credit scene?
I cried.
It was another Chadwick Boseman tribute, partially. Shuri finally burns her funeral clothes.
Yep.
Which, man, she went through a lot in this. She was not even done dealing with her brother's death, and then her mom dies too, and she has to deal with all of that. So it's definitely makes her decision not to be vengeful that much more impactful, I think.
I thought Shuri had a very strong character arc in this movie, which I really liked and appreciated. I thought it was very well done, because you've seen her just go through all the emotions and that, and the fact that, you know, she's always pushed against her culture, basically, with, you know, the rituals and all that stuff, and to see her go towards it at the end, I thought that was great.
And I feel like that's something I've also personally been through myself. Like, I was raised in a very religious, like, Catholic family, and I was just like, why are we doing this stuff? Like, why are we doing this stuff? And so then I like went and had to go out, and through Joseph Campbell, I would say I learned a lot of stuff, and I was like, oh, okay, that's why people do these rituals. Like, that's the importance of doing a ritual. It's partially like the frame of mind, and also it's part of like human psychology and in what you might believe, whether you believe in God or not. There's more than what's visible. So I don't care how you personally engage in that, but there are reasons that these religions, rituals, and all these different things exist. So it's definitely cool to see her engaging in it, especially after like being so far against it. And in that mid-credit scene, she's burning the clothes, and her mother was like, when I did this, I felt him like a breeze on my shoulder, and the wind is passing her, and she's just thinking, seeing him and their moments together. And it was just really beautiful.
Yeah, that was another crying moment, because it was just nothing but silent, and you see his whole montage.
It was meant to, you know, that's the whole thing that the movie was building towards. That's why they had that moment earlier when she said, I felt his presence. It builds that up, and then now we're meant to, now
that she's kind of accepted their culture,
we're meant to be having the same process or the same thing as Shuri is in that moment.
Yeah,
we heard about it earlier in the film, but it didn't happen in the film. We weren't engaged in it in the film. Now we are. And so we got from the beginning of the movie where his actual funeral, where his death and funeral was, and at the very end we actually have closure.
Burning of the funeral clothes, basically.
Closure. And also the meeting of, and that's the completion of the circle. Spoiler alert, big spoiler alert, we're at the end of the show, but biggest spoiler, his son, literally named after him.
Yeah.
T'Challa, son of T'Challa.
Yeah, that was great.
And that's Life Goes On.
Question real quick. Is M'Baku, is he running Wakanda right now?
Did anyone challenge him?
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's
And
what
he
I'm saying is
He seems like a pretty decent guy.
oh, he's great. I love
Yeah.
M'Baku. He's my favorite
He's
character.
hilarious. I loved when he got punched. And so did the kids that were sitting next to me. When he gets like straight up punched by Namor and like flies back, and then he's like, oh, everybody's cracking up. But
Yeah.
other than that too, I think he generally does try to do what's best for Wakanda, and him he's constantly trying to take over Wakanda. I remember that's what one of the kids said too, when at the very end, when he comes out of the ship and he's like, I want to fight. And one of the kids is like, again? It's like, because this time he can win. There's no one to fight against. But he's trying to do that because he honestly feels like he can do the best for the people.
I get the feeling that I don't think Shuri would want anything.
I don't think she would want to be like the leader in that sense. Like she'd be fine being the Black Panther, but she doesn't have to be but that's also where a chance for conflict arise. Because what if he wants to do something that she doesn't want to do, but she's the Black Panther and and then is it just
they gotta wait 10 years and
how does that work? Because is the leader just the Black Panther, or can there be a Black Panther that's separate?
I was wondering about that because it said in the first movie it really alluded to the fact that the Black Panther was the king, and that's just who it was. But in this movie it was more like the Black Panther is just the protector of Wakanda. He doesn't necessarily have to be the king,
and that might have been
He's
just like a
protector.
tradition, you know.
Yeah,
because they also talk about how you'll be the greatest king or the greatest Black Panther since like the first one, but that wasn't necessarily. They don't necessarily have to be one and the same, but they probably usually were. But it's not a requirement. Well, that'll be interesting to see. That, like, again, no idea. Herg. I don't know, guys. You got anything else you want to talk about for this movie?
No, I think it was a solid movie. Was it perfect? No. Like I said, there was some lags and some stuff went a little long, and it could have been trimmed. But I'd give it a solid 8.5 out of 10.
I went 7.5 out of 10. That's just it was good. It wasn't the greatest thing ever. I like the first one better. I think there are some people that have said that if they had just left the Black Panther off of the title and just called it Wakanda Forever, that would have been better rather than calling it Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So I don't know where I fall on that boat, just because it's.
Well,
I gave it probably like a 6.5 or so, just because I like the way that they did the things they did, but overall, as like a movie, it's. Am I going to be like going back to watch this over? And like, oh man, I got to rewatch this. I was like, no, it's like I don't.
If I get the opportunity, I might, just because I don't want to sit on the front row and do this again, and I'd be able to watch it normal.
For that reason, just to maybe get another perspective. But there's other movies where I'll be like, I can sit down and I can watch this movie anytime. This is not one of those movies.
No, Infinity War. I don't know how many times I saw that one on the theater, and then waiting for it to hit DVD or Blu-ray or anything like that. And it was a nightmare. So I was like, I love that movie so much, and it was just like, well, gotta wait.
I've only done that with Star Wars movies.
That too. Yeah.
Multiple times in the theaters.
I used to do that with movies, but that was back again before when like you had to see a movie in theaters and then you had to wait, or you had to wait 6 months or so until it came out on DVD. So,
Well, back in the day,
even farther back in the day,
when we didn't have DVDs,
you had to wait for it to come on network TV. A year or more.
Where I grew up, we had a regular theater where the movie would play for eons, because movies back then would be in the theater a lot longer than what they would now. I mean, Star Wars, I swear to God, Star Wars was in theaters for 2 years.
Yeah.
Well, they also re-released that several times.
No. On the first run.
On the first run.
On its first run, it was it was in the theater for several years.
But yeah, I mean, hey, if people are still paying for it.
But then, and I was guilty.
Star Wars.
when I was young, I was guilty of going seeing Star Wars, I don't know, a bajillion times. And then there was another theater across the street when Star Wars finally ended its run in the main theater, where we could go across the street and see it for 99 cents. And it was there forever.
Oh.
Which helped me out because, my allowance.
My allowance was only
was hurting, paying full price. So
talking about seeing movies multiple times in theaters, Stuart in the chat said, done that a few times. Done that with a few James Bond movies and Lord of the Rings. I definitely did that with Lord of the Rings. That was one of them.
The first Matrix movie. The first Jurassic Park movie.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
First Jurassic Park, I saw that one a ton. Batman, the Michael Keaton Batman. Dark Knight Rises, or not Dark Knight Rises. The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I know for a fact I went and saw that multiple times.
At least 3 or 4 times on that one, at least, that I can remember.
And it was partially because, A, it's worth it.
And it's good.
Yeah, but B, because you knew it wasn't like, oh, it'll be out next month on streaming. It won't. It'll be out in like 6 months, maybe. And like, I'll be getting the director's commentary special edition.
Special widescreen edition with the 3D box printing.
Nolan leaving a personalized message. You are Batman.
Oh, I saw it. I saw that one like 8 or 9 times, at least.
That must have been amazing.
Because
I know I was
that
too
one
young.
a few times. My husband and I went and seen it before we took the kids, because we wanted to make sure it was going to be okay for the kids to see. And he was a little iffy. I was like, no, it'll be great to watch him get the shit scared out of him. Because that movie, I was on the edge of my seat when that first came out. So yeah, I took the kids to see it, and I think we've seen it a few times after that in theaters. So
yeah, I've got a older brother, a younger brother, my sister's the youngest, and I just remember that was one of the movies like we had in like our shoebox of VHS films, like that were like those. It's like that. We had Jurassic Park 2, Men in Black, Independence Day, like Twister. It was just like these essential blockbuster.
Right.
And then we just watch them. And I just remember one time my mom came home, and this is a story that she tells. She's like, yeah, I just come home and the 3 boys are sitting on the couch and Katie is in, the playpen or whatever, and she's standing up on the edge and there's a dinosaur killing someone on the screen, and she's just like checking it out. It's like, what? It's good. And The Mask. Stuart said, watch The Mask. Jim Carrey, man. He had tons of great movies back in the day. Anyway, that's all off topic. We've gone over our standard hour. Talk about Wakanda forever. Again, I feel like it was a tough situation. as far as the Chadwick Boseman send off,
Yeah,
I feel
they
like
had
they
to
did about as good.
They had to rewrite. Good lord, the movie, because I think they had a totally different.
Well, they knew he was dying. I know Ryan Coogler had even said he was going to show him or let him read the Black Panther 2 script, but then it was at a certain point he was just too exhausted to even be doing that. But they, like, Marvel knew that he was dying. It was more of a shock to the general public.
No, nobody knew.
They knew before we did.
That's not what I've heard. I heard nobody knew.
Well, I think they caught it later, but when it was like, as opposed to when it was announced to the public, you know what I mean? It's not like the day they found out that he had cancer, that was the same day that we all found out. Do you get what I'm saying?
Well, we didn't find out anything till he died.
So that's what I'm saying.
But
They knew he had cancer. But
No, from what I heard, nobody knew. Because that was in the middle of the pandemic. So
I'm not going to give time to go look this up right now, but maybe next episode I'll just start with
why I'm right and Debbie's wrong segment.
That sounds fun to me. I don't know. That sounds like a good time. So we'll see you next week where we'll be talking about, I don't know. Yeah. Who knows? We'll be talking about something.
Men in
Meeting,
Black. Let's
right?
do Men in Black.
Debbie being wrong. Men in Black. We can definitely do let's do Men in Black. Next week is Men in Black.
Not
All
that,
right.
not that Australian international one. Just the first three.
Well,
I
no,
haven't
yeah.
seen that one yet.
I haven't seen that one yet either, and I have no desire to.
Why would you? Why would you see it? There's the three.
It doesn't have Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones in it.
Yeah, which was my main reason for watching. But anyway, next week, Men in Black.
Shit! Language.
Wait a second. No one else is going to deal with the fact that Cap just said language?
Just slipped out.
Find the scepter.
And for gosh sake, watch your language.
That's not going away anytime soon. You bet your ass.
Steve, you said a bad language word.
Did you tell everyone about
The
that?
handle's imprinted. Out with the platinum bastard.
Steve doesn't like that kind of talk.
You know what, Romanov? Fury, you son of a